Let's just have fun with this. Okay, we're doing a round of our daily speaking bubbles, but today is different because we're utilizing the material called IELTS Ready Premium, which is available exclusively for all British Council registrants. So we have five unfortunate guinea pigs all ready to take their exam and um, leveling up leveling up their challenge, uh, leveling up the challenge of answering the questions by the use of this material. So thanks to Mom Rose, she's the host, and so we're gonna proceed with part one. Okay, let's go, Mom Rose. Good luck, guys. This is it. This is really is it. So, Mom Christine, you will be the first. We're doing a round robin, guys. I think that's a microphone test. Mm, there are 9 questions. Okay. So let's do a full test now. That is that the one we did earlier?
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about studying English. Where have you studied English?
Okay, Ma'am Christine, go. Did you hear the
Uh,
question, ma'am?
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
As far as I can remember, I think I have been studying the English language since I was in primary school. It is one of the medium how the teachers are teaching our subjects. So, um, it's quite very long and it's a very interesting language. Even we are using it on a daily basis. We still have a lot to learn. So as the day goes by, we are still learning as to how to use the part of this English properly.
All right. As the years go by, ma'am.
Yeah, as the
As the
years
years
go by.
go by. Ma'am Rose,
Oh,
you're the next one.
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about studying English. Where have you studied English?
Oh, where? Starting in primary or elementary school in the Philippines, we are taught in an English-based language apart from our Filipino language. So some of the subjects were taught in like science, were taught in English, like science, math. So most of the subject until we get into high school or college. I guess all of the academics mainly teaches English as our use English as the language.
Okay. All of the academic teach or use. Okay. On in, you're the next one. Go on in.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about studying English. Where have you studied English?
Go on in.
Well, I started studying English at a very young age, and that is during my during my elementary school years. So, uh, English has been part of our curriculum ever since from the start. As I entered my primary school, uh, uh, from first grade until I completed on my sixth grade, and English is also being taught to us on secondary school, which is high school, from starting from first year until fourth year. Besides from English subject is already being inserted in our curriculum, most of the other academic subjects, just like science, uh, physical education, mathematics. Uh, those subjects are still English is still a medium of our teachers on how they teach us those type of subjects. So I think overall, uh, uh, English subjects has been students in our country, uh, just like me, has been exposed to English subjects for a long period of time, ever since I started going into school. That's it.
Only students have. Students
Students
have.
students
Have been
have.
exposed. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Sorry.
right. The next one is Sir Rondo. Make it good, guys.
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about studying English. Where have you studied English?
This is a fascinating question. It has been always like an inquiry for me since I moved here in Tucson, Arizona, last 2021. And most of my colleagues were like, "Oh, where did you learn English? How did you learn it?" And I always told them that is like one of the fundamental academic subjects that we have that in the Philippines that came from way back on our history. We're in the colonization.
Mhm.
It is where when we started learning English and in how we incorporate English in our curriculum. So I told him like from preschool until college or like collegiate year, that is where we've learned a lot of these English languages, grammars, and stuff like that. So yeah.
So nice. All right. Finally, Ma'am Janet.
Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about studying English. Where have you studied English?
Well, actually, I study English here in the Philippines. When I started enter at school, actually, I study English in my entire lives. Uh, up to primary school until of now, I'm studying English. Even though I graduated in my professions, I'm still studying it because here in the Philippines, English is our second language. So we use this in our workplace, and of course, I'm planning to work abroad, so I continue studying English.
Nice, Ma'am Janet.
Thank you so
We will now proceed with question 2 of 9 questions. So, Ma'am Rose, it's your turn. We're going round robin.
Next question, sir.
Next question.
For how long?
Oh, since primary to high school to college and until I think I took 2 years of masterals, so that's uh quite long years. So I guess it's around 8 years. Sorry, around more than 10 years.
That's around 2 decades of education.
much.
Yeah. All right. And then, yeah, 2 decades of education, guys. All right. And all the way up to
20,
20.
20,
Yeah,
20,
nearly 2 decades of our education.
22. There. Okay.
Right. And Onin, you're the next one.
Okay, sure.
For how long?
I think it's been a long period. I think it's been more than 2 decades since I was taught English. Ever since I entered primary school until eventually I moved to secondary school, and then I pursue my profession as a nurse in college. So I think all of the years that I have been studying, either in my primary years, secondary years, and my college years, all of those years I learn English because English, like what I said earlier, it's been included in our curriculum. And right now, due to the due to the globalization that is going on, it shows that English is an important is an important language for us to communicate, not only for other locals but also for visitors. And I think it's also English also uh nawala ako sir, parang
You can
mabayag
say,
ako.
you can
I
say
got
on it. I'm sorry.
I got up.
That's all I wanted to say. You can
That's
say
all I
that.
wanted to say. Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
I think I'm moving on a different topic already, and I
Right.
don't think it's beneficial. Yeah,
And then, guys, let's replace the word important with imperative or uh, salient,
Significant.
significant. Yeah, let's replace that word important.
important,
Imperative, significant, salient. All right, guys.
Crucial.
crucial. Yeah,
Seminal, crucial, seminal.
Vital.
I'm typing this
Vital.
down, guys. Vital. Okay. Let's stop using that word important. Okay. Imperative, salient, seminal, crucial, vital, significant. Lots of equivalent words for that word important.
yeah.
Okay. Imperative. Okay. And then next one is Sir Rondo.
For how long?
Oh, that is an interesting question. Well, with my 30 years of existence, I think 3 quarters that I spent learning English, and until today, all day, every day, I'm still learning the language, especially that I am working in an English speaking country.
Nice. Uh, quintillions of data in one language alone. Can you imagine how we can fit that into our brain? My God, man. Okay. Wow. Janet, you're the next.
Yes, sir. The question is how long I study English. Well, as I told a while ago, I study English my entire life. Since I was a child, the first time that I entered school, I already have a subject of English. Up to college, until now, I'm studying English just to become fluent because I'm planning to work abroad. So most to be exact, 4 decades. Tama ba, sir? 4 decades.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Ayaw
That's
sabihin niya
four
exact
decades.
eh.
Okay.
Four
That's
decades.
okay.
Ayan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a never-ending study, right? Especially in vocabulary.
Yeah, never
Keep
ending.
on working in your
Yeah.
vocab. Okay. And then the next one will be Mang Christine, the last one, for question 2.
For how long?
For how long, man?
For how long?
Well, as I have said earlier, as far as I can remember, I started to learn English when I was in primary school, and up until now, so it stands 3 decades and a half to be exact. And every day is a learning process, especially now that I am taking the IELTS exam. It's very challenging. It's challenging that I have to study the English language as to speak fluently. Not Yeah, that's I think as far as I can remember for 3 decades and a half. I've been studying
Okay.
English.
All right. We are now ready to proceed to question number 3. So this time, Ma'am Rose. Oh, wait. On in, you're the first one.
Okay, sure.
What do you find most difficult about studying English?
Oh, interesting question. Go on in.
Yes, that's an interesting question. So I think the most difficult part that I noticed when I was studying English is to learn different vocabularies, especially those high type of vocabularies that exist only whenever I read books. So I kind of feel hesitant on using those words because I guess I'm not that 100% sure that I know the exact meaning of it, and I don't like to indulge myself to something that I'm not sure, because maybe as a result of that, it may I may lose some points during my speaking task, especially uh, I'm also I'm also right now currently studying IELTS. So I don't want to take risks on those things. And besides from vocabularies, I think the subject verb agreement is also one of uh, my most of the difficult part, or I feel it. I think it's the toughest part of learning English. It's
Mm.
because uh, I used to be corrected by my mentor every now and then whenever we do our speaking bubble.
Mm.
And it's kind of frustrating because I think to myself that I'm not good enough because there's a lot of mistakes. However, like what my mentor said, he just told me and he just encouraged me just to practice more so that I would be able to improve those mistakes, and I could turn it up to be one of my biggest strengths before taking the IELTS exam. That's it.
Nice answers. Okay. Then, Ma'am Janet, you're next.
What do you find most difficult about studying English?
Go, Ma'am Janet.
Well, actually, English, I find it very challenging because I have to know everything and I have to familiarize every word. And most of important of that, I have to uh know a lot of rules in English, like the subject verb agreement, the past tenses, and actually I have a hard time on that. So I have to improve that to make me fluent. So for me, because of practice, regular practice, I would say that I already have a good conversations from the other people when it comes to English language.
Nice answers, guys. Then,
Thank you.
next is Sir Rondo.
What do you find most difficult about studying English?
Studying an unfamiliar language is quite challenging, and now with the English per se, it's just that it's already given, like the factors of grammars, vocabularies, and and so on. But for me right now, what challenges me are the slangs, especially that I am working with teenagers, U.S. citizen, um, if I may say, what's how will I say this one? Native speakers. It's just slangs are too complex,
Mm.
and the way that they deliver it, it's very natural. And if I want to imitate those things, I need to learn the different meanings of slangs and how I would appropriately verse it or incorporate it in a sentence that I know that they are very familiar with.
Nice. Yeah, English is the language with the widest vocabulary of over 2 million words, and it's the fastest growing vocabulary. And then it so happens that all the technologies are made by English speakers, so that accounts for the fact that it grows so quickly with new and newer words related to technology uh, being created because of all these advancements. Interesting, right, guys? Like the internet, we didn't have that vocabulary 20 years ago, but now it's so much a part of our lives. Whoa. And then, Mom Christine, you're next.
What do you find most difficult about studying English?
Well, that's a very interesting question and a challenging one. Well, English is a very challenging language to learn because It it needs a lot of elements to be used properly. So some difficulties that I encountered are verb tenses and the use of idioms and also the subject verb agreement. And I myself have difficulty in speaking because I don't speak fluently because I have to be mindful of the tenses and the grammar that I use.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's
So nice.
one of the most difficult part apart
Everybody's so
from writing.
mindful. Everybody's so
Apart
mindful of
from
their
writing,
verbs. Everybody's so mindful of their tenses. Everybody's
yes,
so mindful
so
of their vocabulary.
yeah, so
So
with that
nice.
in mind, you cannot connect or come up with a sentence immediately because you have to think of the correct what we call this tense or verb
Mhm.
or adverb to be used.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's why
that's
it's so true when they say that the person who knows a language or another language is actually more intelligent. Can you imagine how many neurons in their brain, right, guys? How many neurons in your brain you've created by just learning another language? Okay, we're ready to proceed to question number 4.
Sir,
Ma'am
ako
Rosie,
pa.
have you answered? Not yet. Okay, go, Ma'am
Not yet.
Rosie. Okay.
Wait lang.
What do you find most difficult about studying English?
Hmm. I really find studying English difficult. Um, with English is an extensive language to learn and has an extensive vocabularies. The subject verb agreement. What else? Thinking ahead of the English rather than your own native language and how to deliver the pronunciation. Apart from that, those slang words that you also need to learn and how to write formally and academically. So I struggled also with that.
Okay. You're forming new neurons, Ma'am Rosie. We are
Yeah.
now ready to proceed to question number 4, guys. How fast time flies. So, Rondal, it's now your turn.
What's the best way for you to study English?
Oh,
Easy.
that's a very
Okay.
that's a great question.
Yeah.
For me, what when started learning English, it's like it's like Waterloo, and I really hate it, and it's just I don't want to learn English. But right now, it's more of like I need this. I need to be effective. I need to be fluent with it because working in an English country is like my bread and butter. So with the help and aid of Netflix, or this is like a platform or a movie platform wherein I kind of watch English movies, and this really helps me because some of the scenes in these movie clips are more of situational languages that I can use
Okay.
in every time, day
Right.
in, day out. So yeah.
I keep advising everybody. So, when you watch Netflix, keep the subtitles on, people, and take note of the language all the time. Always have the subtitles on. Waterloo. I was just gonna mention that word. That maybe you should mention that word Waterloo. English is Waterloo. Uh, English is a Waterloo subject for me, but I'm trying to work on it. That word Waterloo. It's a nice word, Waterloo. Okay, the next one is Mom Janet.
What's the best way for you to study English?
Well, for me, the best way for me to learn English is I have to look a person who can practice me in speaking because speaking is very important, especially the pronunciation is very hard. If you pronounce it wrong, it may cause misunderstanding or miscommunications. So I think having a partner in speaking, or you have to look, or you have to speaking with a person with a native language is English, it will improve my English. And apart from that, I also have to read a lot of books that written in English. Uh, in that way, it could enhance my vocabulary
Right.
and how
Okay.
to deliver English.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
sir.
doing the reading test alone, right? We learned so many words from it. Then I forgot to mention,
Yeah.
guys, since a lot of us love watching Korean novellas, what you can do is you can set the dubbing of the Netflix program into English. So what you have are Korean actors speaking in English, and then at the same time you keep the subtitles on. So that's a good way of enjoying your favorite Korean novellas while working on your English at the same time. Set the dubbing to English, so the dubbing in Netflix is superior. It's really nice. They're really doing a good job with their dubbing. You can have them speak Spanish if you wanted to, or Chinese if you wanted to, but of course set it in English and then keep the subtitle on. Is that clear, people? So enjoy your favorite Korean novellas. And then the next
Yes.
one is Mom Christine.
Oh,
Mom Rosie, can we
What
play it again?
yes.
What's the best way for you to study English?
Well, I can say being a quiet reader or being bookish helps a lot in practicing or learning English, or it's one of the best way to study English. But at some point, I think that we should immerse or indulge ourselves in the English language as if as it is our native our native language.
Mhm.
Be- for one, we speak our own native language every day, like fluently. So I think one way is to study the language with some people, with people that speaks fluently by actively conversing or listening during
Mhm.
conversation and
Nice.
enrolling ourselves on online courses such as IELTS Einstein.
Yeah, man.
So it's one best way to study English
That's
because it
that's the
is
best
our
way.
yeah,
Okay.
I think
Christine,
so.
one of the ways. Don't forget. One of
Yeah,
the ways.
one of
Okay.
the best way.
One of the best ways. And then yes, I think immersion is really the the key. Meaning like if you want to improve your lexicon, Sir Rondell also right. You really gotta do a lot of reading and then as well as the other strategies like
Yes,
uh,
sir.
I really would recommend you do a lot of writing as well. These are ways in which you can improve vocabularies by everything is incorporated. I think I mentioned this to Mamel before. So in order to improve your score in speaking, for example, you attack all the other subtests concurrently. That's immersion. You are drowning yourself in the language. Okay. And then so feel free to join the reading bubbles as well, Sir Rondell, if you have the time for it.
Yes,
Although
sir.
yeah, I realize you're
I'll make time for it.
okay. And then the next one will be Ma'am Rosie.
What's the best way for you to study English?
Well, the best way for me to study English is always practice the language by speaking it daily on a normal conversation, doing all the writing, academic writing, and listening in one sitting. I guess the IELTS review helps me a lot to improve my English language, particularly in pronunciation, fluency, grammar, and other aspects of the language.
So nice. Yeah, I've seen Ma'am Rosie's grow. I have seen it with my very own eyes. And then the next one will be Onin.
What's the best way for you to study English?
Well, I think the best way for me to learn English is by reading books. because whenever I read books, I'm able to learn different words, especially in terms of vocabulary and on how to improve my grammar. Uh, Besides from reading books, I think one of the best thing to improve my learning curve in English is by participating in the daily speaking bubbles, which is being offered to me by my IELTS review. Uh, this really encouraged me to to converse properly and to be confident enough to say the words that I wanted to say or that I wanted to tell to to in a normal conversation. And I also feel that whenever I being corrected by my mentor, it also helps me to improve myself uh, in learning the process learning the right way on how to practice English or improve my English language.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the speaking bubbles, I tell you guys, every single day, hours and hours, the effect of the speaking bubbles on your English is invaluable. You cannot put any value on it, guys. It's priceless. Yeah, man. Okay, we're ready to move on to question number 5. I'm so proud of you guys. You're doing it. Ma'am Janet, you will be the first this time. Janet.
How can speaking English help people in their lives?
Oh, so nice. Come on,
Oh,
Janet.
well, I would say they can work they can choose work that they could earn high salary when the person fluent in English, because we are now in a globalizations and very competitive. So being a fluent in English language, they have a lots of opportunities in different company,
Very nice,
especially
ma'am.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Hopefully someday after 5 years, I can like get to the United States and meet all of you, and then just record you in an interview, and then we're gonna realize how good you've been in your English language after so many years in the States. Wow, I wanna do that, guys. Okay, the next one is Ma'am Christine.
How can speaking English help people in their lives?
Well, as we all know, English has become the universal language. So most probably speaking English allows you to actually widen or broaden your work from job opportunities, and the ability to converse or relate to people from different countries. And knowing that English language makes it more interesting if you want to travel in a different country. And also, it helps you anywhere you go because everybody learns or speaks the language, they understand the language. So
Mhm.
it's easy for people to communicate actively, even on the internet or face to face in our everyday life. So speaking English is very vital in last generation.
Yeah, it will change the very trajectory of your life. The
Yes.
very trajectory of your lives, guys. It's like a line graph from stagnancy to a stratospheric climb. All of a sudden. And then the next one will be Mom Rosie. Go on, Rose.
How can speaking English help people in their lives?
Oh, English helps a lot of people, um, mainly in academic. and their profession, especially when you want to apply for an international job or as an international student. Most countries do accept foreign students. So you really need to use or improve your English language.
All right, Ma'am Rudy. And then the next one is audience.
Sir, English help people in their lives?
Well, generally, English uh, is very helpful in in all walks of life. So whether whatever profession you are, English is still the best way to on how to communicate to other people. So uh, for me, I think English has a significant role in the society where we are living right now. Especially, it serves as a medium on how to how to start a conversation, especially for people who are either native English speakers or non-native English speakers, because I think English is also the language that is widely spoken all over the world. And in order for you to communicate with other nationalities, I think English is the best way on how to start a conversation, because uh, I think in overall all of the people knows,
The
I
people
think,
know.
how
All
know
of the
know
people
how,
know.
all of the people know how to speak. If
Mhm.
not, I think most of the people and all I think all of the people can understand English. So for me, English is uh as a vital importance uh in in the life of the people or in the society right now. Yes.
The language with the most number of native speakers is Mandarin. English is the most widely spoken language in the world.
Yeah, widely spoken. Yeah.
So those are two different things. You have a lot of Mandarin speakers, for example, but they're confined. But English is the most widely spoken. And then, Sir Rondon, it's your turn, sir.
How can speaking English help people in their lives?
Go, Sir Rondon.
Um, yeah, so in the line of work that I have right now, it is essential for me to converse, indulge, and engage in English language medium. With that, English gives me the benefits of covering more grounds in my line of profession. And for the future, I know that it will open more doors and opportunities for me for learning English language and determination. I know that it will always be the best tool that I would have to be successful in life.
Converse, indulge, and engage. Oh my God, that's what you call synonymity, guys. Get into the habit of that, guys. You throw the same words that mean all the same in one breath. So you can say it's important, it's imperative, it's salient, it's critical. Oh my God, that's how you score a nine, guys. Like for example, I think it's indeed very important. It's critical. It's salient. It's substantive to learn English. You know, that's what you call synonymity. You're throwing the same. You're throwing different words that mean the same. And then we are now in question number five. Is it question number five, Toronto? Hang on for us, sir. Let's finish the. No, we're in question number six already. Are we in question
Yeah.
number six? Yeah, we're about to end. Patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. Ma'am Christine, you're the first.
Let's move on to talk about transport. How do you travel to work or class in the place where you live?
Easy peasy. Go, Ma'am Christine.
Okay, wait lang, may gusto continuing na lang ko but mag-explain.
Is she talking to us, Ma'am Christine? Okay, we'll go with Ma'am Rosie first.
Let's move on to talk about transport. How do you travel to work or class in the place where you live?
Well, from my city, Caloocan, I traveled usually by bus or by train. So it took me around 1 to 2 hours to commute. Uh, back, back and back and two, it would usually takes around 4 hours. So going to office and from my office to my house.
Ma'am Rosie, you use the present tense for that. It takes me.
It
It
takes me.
takes me. It takes me.
Takes me.
Then watch out for the second verb. It would take. So
It
don't
would
say it would
take.
take. It would talk. It would take. Watch out
Okay.
for the second verb as well. Then
Okay.
on in.
Yes, sir.
Easy peasy. Let's kill this question.
Let's move on to talk about transport. How do you travel to work or class in the place where you live?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I could tell to myself that I'm a fortunate person because I travel with my car. Eventually, I can drive and I have a driver's license, so I don't need to engage myself in a stressful commuting type of experience. So whenever I go to work, I usually drive with my car. When I'm heading to my work, same as when I return back to my house, I also drive my car. So wherever I go, I prefer driving my car because besides from besides from being in a convenient besides from it's convenient, uh it's also cost efficient because right now I think computing, especially here in Qatar, is quite expensive, and the 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 cost of commuting either from Uber or from Lyft, it costs an arm and a leg, and that's why I think that driving with your own car is the best way to travel, especially in a foreign country. That's it.
On in, where do you park your car? You have a designated parking space?
Actually, sir, at work, there's a few parking spaces for health professions, just like me.
Mm-hmm.
In whenever I travel to shopping centers like malls, like parks, they have this free parking space for their
Really? For medical
yeah yeah
workers?
yeah for their customers. Yeah, it's totally free. You don't need to pay for anything.
Ah,
Yeah, it's really great.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay. What do you intend to do with the car when you get to the States?
most likely I might sell it.
Okay.
I might sell it half the price as long as I would be able to get a portion of it.
All right. What car do you have on in?
No, I'm driving a Suzuki Baleno.
Okay.
It's
Japanese car. Okay.
I'm not
All
I'm
right.
not sure if it's Japanese car because I hear that it was massively produced in India. But maybe the parts came from Japan, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not totally sure. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Mom Janet, it's your turn. I mean, Sir Rondell, it's your turn, sir. Sorry. Sir
Oh,
Rondell, it's your turn.
okay. So yeah.
Let's move on
Sige, go ahead, play it, Ma'am Rosie.
to talk about transport. How do you travel to work or class in the place where you live?
Okay.
Okay. Traveling or transporting from one place to another. So yeah, transportation is one of the significant things to know before moving from one state to another state or from point A to point B. Um, I've been here last 2021 until today, currently residing here in Arizona. Living in the States, I was fortunate enough to drive a minivan. Um, my car is a seven-seater automobile, and it's pretty convenient for traveling with my family or going to work. So that's basically my mode of transportation here in Tucson, here in the States.
Oh, nice. The vocabs. Ma'am Janet, you're killing the question. Ready, Ma'am Janet?
Okay, sir.
let's listen to the question first.
Let's move on to talk about transport. How do you travel to work or class in the place where you live?
Well, actually, I live in the province of Pampanga, so I don't know how to drive, so I don't have any choice just to use the public transportations. And the main vehicle that bring me to my destination or my workplace is the bus. So I use often bus vehicle to reach my workplace. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
she
sir.
doesn't know how to drive, but she has two cars. All right.
Yes.
Uh, Ma'am Christine,
Yes, sir.
visit another driver, guy.
Let's
Go, go, man.
travel to work or class in the place where you live.
Okay, so it's a very good question. Because I, for one, is not, I'm not very fond of commuting because I tend to get lost all the time because of riding this commuter vehicle. So I drive from home to work, and it takes me around 20 minutes from where I live. And I drive my seven-seater Ertiga with a red color, pretty lady actually. And so going to and from work, I drive every day and to places where I want to go. Yeah, that's the luxury of knowing how to drive and owning a car nowadays, actually.
Okay. When did you learn how to drive, ma'am?
When I was in high school, so pretty
Oh,
much
she learned
22
so early.
decades.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The next question is still for you, Ma'am Christine. We're in question number 7. Yoo-hoo!
What is the best way to travel in the place where you live?
Go, ma'am.
What is the best way to travel? You mean
What is the best way to
the
travel?
means
What
of
is
transportation in in our place?
whichever?
Okay, so
Mhm.
basically, because we live in a very small province in the south, so we use a lot of tricycle. I don't know if somebody know that thing. Tricycle. It's a motorcycle with a sidecar and a sidecar with one wheel, so that's why it's called tricycle or the taxicale. And do a lot. We do have a lot of motorcycles for commuting from very far distances, like the geographically isolated area, because no four wheels can pass through. And also, we do have a jeepney and uh, van and buses. And with the luxury of owning a car, so you can go anywhere with your own car. So that's how we travel from this side of the town. As
Okay.
to going to other places, we need to ride an hour before we get to an airport. So as to ride a plane.
All right.
So that's the nearest.
Christine, why don't you use the neck of the woods? Those are the ways
Yeah,
to travel in
forgot
my neck of the wood. Okay.
travel to the neck of the wood. I
My
forgot
neck of the wood.
my
Use
neck
that,
of the wood.
guys. Use that, guys.
Okay,
Okay. Ma'am Rosie, you're next.
What is the best way to travel in the place where you live?
Well, I guess the best way to travel is to board a plane. No, seriously, from the place I live.
You take a spaceship.
Um, yeah, actually, because of the congested traffic and all. Um, the best way is by the P2P carousel bus. I think that's the best way because it has a private lane that um, a vehicle or um, other means of transportation cannot go by that lane.
Yeah, the P2Ps are great. Thank God for the P2Ps. Rose, maybe you should just briefly explain what that is, the
Yes,
P2P.
bus carousel, sir.
Okay, like what does it mean, P2P? So
Ah,
P2P is a
point by
point
point,
to point,
point
point
to
to point
point. Okay.
system of transportation by
Points
bus.
to points.
They are the P2P. Then, on in, go, Ma'am Rose.
Yes, sir.
What is the best way to travel in the place where you live?
Well, personally, uh, I think the best way to travel here, especially in the place where I'm currently living in, is to drive on your own car. So it's because it's less hassle, it's more convenient, and you don't need to wait for the bus to come because I'm just saying personally, but I'm not saying that the public system or the public transport system here is not good. Actually, the public transport system here in Qatar is way much better compared to the the to my home country.
Mm,
However, if given a chance that you have your own car, I think the best way to travel, and because besides that you control your own time and you can travel everywhere without the need of checking the mobile, checking your smartphone to check when the bus will be available or when will the bus be heading to the bus stop where you're currently at.
right.
uh, I think driving in your own car is still the best.
I guess for the Middle East, having a car is workable, feasible because
Yes.
gasoline there is so cheap.
Yeah, it's too cheap. Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
But
but
I'm but if ever you're not you're not uh you're I'm talking about if ever you're not that you don't have the privilege of owning a driver's license in the Middle East,
mhm,
so most likely you might get into trying those public transportation. I
right.
can say that the public transportation here is efficient in
Really,
terms
it is.
of, yeah,
Okay.
especially when in terms in travel time, because they have now uh, a train system which
Yeah, I
is
heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is quite cheap, and right now they're already expanding this train system all across Qatar from the north up to the south, and the bus
Okay.
system is also uh quite feasible. I think in even in uh remote places there's still some bus stops. However, you just need to be patient enough to wait for
Okay.
the bus to arrive because it might
Mm-hmm.
take a while, especially nowadays. Most of the buses are situated in city centers. So the other buses that are assigned in remote areas is quite a few. So I think the interval of one bus arriving
Mm-hmm.
from each bus point will take some time. So I
Okay.
yeah, that's one of the challenges if you're commuting. Yes.
All right. Then Sir Rondo, who interesting in the States. I wonder how it is in the States. The car is the way to go. Go, Sir Rondo.
What is the best way to travel in the place where you live?
Sir Rondo, it's your turn, sir. I want to listen to his answer.
Oh,
Sir
hello,
Rondo.
sir. I
Yeah,
was
go
on mute.
ahead,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
All
Yeah,
right.
so for at least 2 years of my stay here in specifically in Tucson, Arizona. Well, in my point of view, the best way to travel and to go around the place that I'm currently residing is driving my private car. It's just that for the reason of like public transportation, my thoughts are like 50-50. It's especially
Mm-hmm.
because it's like the nearest bus stop or like the nearest bus point location is like a mile and a half away, which is like almost 2 kilometers, and I don't want to walk in this
Oh,
kind of scorching hot summer here in Tucson, Arizona.
I see.
So yeah, and I think most of the people will definitely agree with me. It's not a question for us about the best way to travel here. Is just really driving your own private car.
I see. Okay. Everybody owns a car.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Even
So
homeless.
even the homeless ones. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
even
Well, you
homeless.
headed to the States, get your licenses. Okay. And Ma'am Janet, get your license, Ma'am Janet. Start driving your two cars. Go, Ma'am
Soon, sir,
Janet.
soon. Yeah,
Soon. Yeah. Mm.
soon.
What is the best way to travel in the place where you live?
Well, actually, it depends on what place are you going to. For example, I'm working here in the city, so the only vehicle that I would use would be um bus, bus vehicle, and apart from that, I could use my own car. However, I don't know how to drive, so um so I need to commute. However, if you go to some places nearby, we could use jeepney, which is popular here in the Philippines, and also tricycle is a three wheels and also popular here in the Philippines. Those vehicles are available in our hometown.
Nice, Ma'am Janet.
Thank
Okay.
you.
We're in question number 8. We're nearly done. Too much of a good thing doesn't last. On in, you're the first one this time.
Okay,
How
sir.
would you improve transport in your town or area?
Okay.
I think that's a difficult one. I think I think the I think I think there's a specific type. There are main people who is responsible on improving the transport system. I'm not that 100% familiar in terms of the do's and don'ts. However, I assume that the government should be the one responsible on improving the transport system, especially in the Philippines, because uh, it's been also one of the challenges for commuters in my country. Before they will be able to reach their destination, it will take them an hour or more than an hour just for the travel time, especially if they're gonna travel using the train system. The train system in the Philippines is quite outdated already. So I think they should they should purchase new sets of bagoon. I'm not sure if it's the term bagoon
Wagon.
or
Wagon.
wagon. Yeah,
Wagon.
the government should purchase new sets of wagons just to compensate with the increased number of commuters.
Mm-mm.
And besides from that, I think the government should also needs to take a look in the bus system in the Philippines.
Mm-mm.
Uh, they should increase the number of this point to point bus that is already been existing in the country. Point to point bus is one of the remarkable improvement in the Philippines because that commuters no longer need to go to different vehicles in order to arrive or in order to reach their destination, because point to point bus will be the one to send them from point A to point B. And
Right.
uh they also have several routes which is very uh sorry, which is very uh very good for commuters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
I
on in,
couldn't.
one of the is always followed by a plural.
Which one, sir?
One of
One
the important changes.
one
Yeah.
of the important change. What did I said? One of the important change.
Yeah. You tend to use
Oh,
one of the with a singular. So
yeah,
watch out for that. Okay.
yeah. Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
Janet, it's your turn.
How would you improve transport in your town or area?
Oh, well, it's very hard to say because it's not my responsibility. The government or the local council are the one who are responsible to improve our public transportation, including the roads, because it's a big funds that they need to allocate on that improvement. However, maybe I would suggest to the local council or the government about changing the old vehicles to a new one. So less pollution it would be encountered that would help our environment to maintain. Yes,
So
sir.
nice. Okay. To be maintained, ma'am. To
Be
be maintained.
maintained, yeah.
Okay. And then, Ma'am Christine.
Sir,
How would you improve transport in your town or area?
well, I would suggest the government or the lawmakers of the town to improve the transport system by imposing or making road signs clearly readable to everybody, and also the sidewalks, so that people will have good access or full access to the transport. And also it will improve the mobility around the town. Also, I would suggest to improve or increase the frequency of buses schedules and the ticketing system. And also, it is very pertinent to improve the passengers' comfort and the safety of the passenger.
Okay.
That's
Pertinent. That's another nice word for it. Pertinent. Rosie.
that's
How would you
Pertinent. So nice.
improve transport in your town or area?
Well, there have been um, infrastructure efforts for improvement for infrastructure that have been ongoing right now. Infrastructure projects like having an underground train, just like in Japan. Uh, what else? More bridges and more expansion of roads. The new guidelines or policies um, have always been changing to accommodate everyone, from having a bicycle lane and then having a privacy lane for the buses. What
Okay.
else? Okay, that's it.
So nice. All right. Sir Rondo, you don't have train lines in Arizona.
Well, we do have, sir. It's like from one state to another state, but we do have this like electric mini trains in the met in like in downtown area.
Oh, you mean like a tramway? A tram?
Yeah, yeah, like a tram, if I may say
Oh,
that.
okay. All right. So you have state-to-state train lines as well?
Yes, from
Okay.
West Coast to East Coast. So yeah,
Really? Oh my God. Okay.
yeah, that's like very that is how economy like rose from 0 to 100 here in United States because of how they put like this program or project of like connecting one state to another state, which
Yeah.
I'm saying now in the Philippines because we have different bridges now, Cordova, Cebu, we have the Bataan something. I think there's gonna be another things like that. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Infrastructure development is so necessary in an archipelago like the Philippines.
yeah, true,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah. Can you imagine crossing so many islands? And then train lines. For me, train lines are the way to go. We need more train lines. We are now in question number. Whoa, what number are we in? Toronto, it's now your turn. Oh, it's the last one. Come on, guys. Make it happen.
Do people prefer using public or private transport in your country?
What was the question? I kind of missed it.
Do people prefer using public or private transport in your country?
Go, Toronto.
Admittedly, it's not a big of a question for like when I was in the Philippines. My experience was like you really don't have any options. Like if you don't have a car or a private owned car or a vehicle, the only thing that you can have is the public transportation, regardless if it's through a motorbike, through a tricycle, or through our traditional jeepneys. So there's no question with that one. That's the only option that you get. But then moving here in United States, it's like you have lots of options. You can drive your own car. You can go for like public buses that's been going around in the city day in and day out. And then we have Uber, private owned cars trying to earn a little cash. And we have like another one which is Leap. So yeah, transportation is like it's very wise in the place that I'm residing right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's
Okay.
it.
I think efficient might be a better word to use. Efficient
Oh
or
yes, sir.
develop, yeah,
Mm,
means of
efficient.
transportation.
Yep.
Then, Ma'am Janet,
Do people prefer using public or private transport in your country?
Um, well, actually, nowadays, as I observe here in our country, they prefer to use their own car because they can choose route to reach their destinations very fast. Because it's very challenging if we are using the public transportations, because a lot of people are also using on that, and then before you could reach your destination, you would late at your work or your meeting or your transactions. So the tendency, the roads are congested because of the volume of cars.
all right, congested. All right, Ma'am Christine,
Yes, sir. Um,
Do people prefer using public or private transport in your country?
well, that depends on the situation. I think people in our country, majority of the people in our country uses the public transport because not the some people are not as rich as the people living in the global nation or in the first world countries. So we prefer to ride on a public. So whenever we want to be in a hurry, we go by taxi. So I think that's one of the easiest way to go on the places that you want to be. And also
one of the
a
easiest
lot
ways,
of
Ma'am Christine.
easiest ways. Yeah.
Mhm.
And honestly, I for one, uh, but some people prefer to uh, drive by their own to get to places. How do I put the to get to the nick of what's that again?
Nick of time.
Nick of time.
Okay,
Depends.
all right. Then, Ma'am Rosie,
Do people prefer using public or private transport in your country?
Well, in the Philippines, it depends on the individual's preferences or circumstances. So if you happen to don't own a car because of your economic status, I guess you have no choice but to prefer having to go commute by commute. And although comfort, security, and I guess hours of travel is are also considered in preferring to go by, let's say, taxi or by bus.
all right. On in. Ready,
Sure.
on in, go.
Do
Okay,
people
sure.
prefer using public or private transport in your country?
Well, I think it depends on the person's situation, especially in my home country, because majority of the people in my country prefers to commute.
Prefer,
So they prefer
prefer
to commute. So they use the public transport system, whether riding on a motorcycle or a tricycle or either a traditional jeep. However, there are also newer versions of jeeps that are being introduced right now. These are the electric jeeps, and some electric buses is also already being used in some of the major highways or major roads in the Philippines. But I think uh, but I think uh, uh, but I think the government uh, uh, pay attention should put their attention in how to improve the inefficient road systems that currently exist right now, because that's the reason why most of the commuters are complaining, because it takes them quite a while before they will be able to reach their destination,
Right.
especially during rush hour, in times
Okay.
of rush hour. So due to this uh, layback system that is still existing in the Philippines, and I think Philippines is already way behind from our neighboring countries in terms
Mm.
of transport system. So I think there's a lot of things that needs to be seen by the government, and needs to and they need to take actions on it in
Mm.
order to improve uh these types of glitches that is currently that currently exist
Okay.
at the present time. Yeah.
All
Ano
right.
ba tama ba yung sagot ko, sir? Kasi ano ba yung question ulit? Yung
Tama naman, but you went into somewhere else. But that's
yeah,
okay. At least you answered the question already
okay, sir.
there. And then, Sir Rondo,
Do people prefer using public or private transport in your country?
Pero di
go,
ko ba
sir.
nasagot na yan?
Nasagot na ba ni Sir Rondo? Do people
I
prefer
think,
to use public or private?
have I? I don't know.
Yung Uber, yun ba yun, sir?
Yeah,
Yung
yeah,
kanina?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, I
so
think I was the
everybody's
first. I
answered
think I
already.
was the first one. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, these 9 questions really is a mix of the personal and the global, right? So I think this is something like a part one and a part three already simultaneously. I guess that's how part one is nowadays. There are global questions incorporated into it. Guys, let me emphasize the importance of the part two. Please work on your snippets because that's an opportunity for you to just blast the vocabulary into your speaking performance. Please do not underestimate part two. You're gonna be speaking for 2 long minutes there. So get your scripts ready, guys. Rose, Ma'am Rose, can we just check on what the part two for this one is? What is the part two? This is like the actual speaking test. You can see the examiner on the screen, guys. What is that? Is that a cat? There, let's look at the part two, guys. So what is it about? A memorable holiday you have had that's not in the reviewer,
I'm
guys.
going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to speak about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you speak, you will have a minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Here is your topic. I'd like you to describe a memorable holiday you have had.
Is he gonna wait a minute? Oh, he's gonna be waiting a minute, guys. Okay, can we jump to the after the 1 minute, ma'am?
If I stop you, I'll tell you
There.
1 to 2 minutes to talk about this. So don't
Rewind a
worry
bit,
if I
ma'am.
stop you. I'll
Rewind a
tell
bit,
you
ma'am.
when the time is up. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this. So don't worry
One
if
to
I
two
stop you.
minutes.
I'll tell you when the time is up. Can
So,
you start
guys,
now, please.
So essentially, for all the people who've scored band 8 and above, remember your target is a band 7, but if you'd like to score a band 8 and above, this is really the golden opportunity. So just work on your book
Sure.
for this one, guys. All right. Oh, you can write your notes there. Can you imagine? Incredible. Let's do this for the next round, guys. All right. Work on your snippets now, guys. All right. Okay. Any questions? You guys are going into YouTube. We're gonna pause the recording. Hold on, guys.